Okay, switching gears to Tehilim 20 Redux. Okay, we did this in December of 2021, I believe, or October of 2021. I can't remember. There are 3 shiurim that I gave on this, and I re-listened to the last 2 of them. So I don't want to say that I'm unbiased here. And we are also going to rely on the translation that I came up with last time, just for the sake of time. But I do want to try to see this with fresh eyes and do a fresh analysis, okay? Because I think we're in a different place now. We have a greater understanding of Tehilim, and we're in a live Sarah right now. So I think that this would be, we're going to see this in a different way. Okay, so let's go through bit by bit and translate this. And I might tweak the translation either now or as we go on. And I'll comment on this as I go as well. Okay, Lam Natseach Mizmor LeDavid. All right, so we translate this as Menatseach from Netzach. Netzach can mean eternal, but it can also mean to be victorious. Okay, so I forgot where we got this from, but Menatseach is the one who makes victory, so that's God. Okay, Mizmor LeDavid, a psalm for David. Okay, and I finally went and looked up the actual rule in the Gemara Pesachim that I keep on forgetting. Okay, that there's Mizmor LeDavid and there's LeDavid Mizmor, and they have different characters to it. So Mizmor LeDavid means that, so Mizmor swap out with Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, Mizmor LeDavid means that David had Ruach HaKodesh and then said this. LeDavid Mizmor means that it started off with just as David, and then he said this in order to get Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, unless I got that wrong, but I did look it up. Okay, so this was something that he was saying with Ruach HaKodesh, and that he got Ruach HaKodesh and then he said this. Okay, Ya'ancha Hashem biyom tzara yisagevcha Hashem Elohei Yaakov. May Hashem answer you on a day of distress. Tzara literally comes from means narrow, like a day of straits, of constraints. So distress might not be the wrong word. A day of is there a word that people actually use in English that means straits? Yeah, dire straits. Yeah, people say dire straits. They just don't say straits. Okay, dire straits. May Hashem answer you on a day of dire straits. May the name of the God of Yaakov strengthen you. Now, Yisagevcha does mean to strengthen, okay? But there's a more literal meaning of strengthen. Of Yisagevcha, of Nisgav. Anyone know? We probably toyed around with this last time.
Does that have to do with the fortress?
It does have to do with the fortress, yeah. What type of protection is Yisgav? Yisagav. So, Yisagevcha, according to the BDB, is to be inaccessibly high, okay? Too high for capture. So I think a better translation might be, may Hashem, may the name of the God of Yaakov raise you up in protection or something like that. Okay. All right. Is there anything else I wanted to say here? Oh yeah, just another word of the this is a new I still feel like we're at the beginning of the year of Tehillim, so I'm going to repeat a lot of methodology points at the beginning. First rule of Tehillim is you say Tehillim. Okay, second rule of Tehillim is you can play fast and loose with the tenses, okay, as long as you don't create inconsistencies that don't make sense. Okay, what I mean by that is when David Melech says something in the future tense, he might be talking about what will happen. He might be talking about something that is continuously happening. He might be talking about expressing a bakasha. Okay, so you could translate this as Hashem will answer you on the day of dire straits, but we last time made the decision of translating it as may Hashem answer you on the day of dire straits. It's possible that we said that because we relate to this perek as a bakasha, as a request. I'm not sure, but let's stick with that unless we find that we should change it. Okay, so Yishlach Ezracha Mikodesh Umitzion Yisadeka. May your help be sent from the holy. Okay, it's kind of awkward there, the holy, or from holy. And may he support you from Tzion, and may God support you from Tzion. Yizkor kol minchosecha ve'olasecha yidashane sela. May he favor your menachos and accept the burning of your olas. Okay, now, I think this was also a question of how to translate this. Yizkor can either mean to favor, like azkarasa lad Hashem, like a favorable aroma before Hashem, or what I would have said is may he remember. Okay, may he remember your olos. So let's keep that Actually, you know what? Let's just type that in. Remember or favor your menachos. Okay, now menachos happens to be in this week's parsha. Right? If I shouldn't have given that away. I was gonna I should have said, what is the first type of korban that was ever mentioned in Chumash? It's a mincha. Okay. And a mincha is in halacha, a mincha offering is a grain offering. In what do you call it? In Brachis, when Cain brings the first korban into mincha, and I think, does Onkelos say this, or am I misremembering? Let's check. The Targum Onkelos translates Cain's mincha as nope, kurbana. I am misremembering. Is it Rashi who says that a mincha? Nope. Is it Ralbag? Just going to all the people. Okay, if it's not Ralbag, then I'm not going to guess anymore. No, not Rabag. Okay, a mincha is, I don't know where I got this from, but a mincha is a tribute. Okay, and a tribute is a gift that you bring a king to show kavod to the king. Okay, so it's a gift offering, but not a gift because like you want someone to have something or you want to benefit them. It's a showing of kavod. Okay, so that's why I translated it as tribute offering because I don't think it means here necessarily like halachik nachos, although I don't really know. The olascha and your burnt offerings should be acceptable. Okay, yidashne is a weird word as well. It comes from the word deshen, which means like fat or fertile. So I saw someone translate this as like, may your burnt offerings drip with fat, but I thought that sounded weird, so we're going with burnt, with a big acceptable. May he remember, may he grant you in accordance with your heart, and may he fulfill may he fulfill all of your counsels, or another word for eta is strategies. Okay. Niranana bishuasecha uvashem Eloheinu nidgol yamale Adonai kol mishalosecha. May we sing joyously at your salvation. Now, your salvation does not mean saving God, but the salvation that God brings about. It's capital Y, but the one that God brings about. Where are we here? Uvashem Elokeinu nidgol, and may we raise the banner of our God. Yamale Hashem kol mishalosecha. May Hashem grant all your requests. Ata yadati, now I have known, Yehoshia ad Hashem mishicho, that Hashem has saved his anointed one. Ya'anehu mishemei kadcho, he will answer him from the heavens of his holiness, bigvurus yesha yamino, with mighty acts of salvation of his right hand. Ele v'rechav ve'ele vasusim, these on horses, on chariots, ve'ele vasusim, these on horses. Va'anachnu, but we, Hashem Elokeinu nazkir, we will invoke the name of Hashem our God. Okay, nazkir, we will remember, or we will. I think I said invoke because it means to remember and like verbalize. Hema karu v'nafalu, they slumped and fell. Vanachnu kamnu vanisodad, but we rose up and have. Okay, this is another hard one. Have constantly kept ourselves upright. I think we probably got that from the REDUX. Hashem Hoshia Hamelchi Anin V'Yom Karenu. Hashem saves. The King will answer us on the day we call. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat so the people there can have it. Independent of my scrolling. Okay, so just to review our procedure here. So what we are going to do here is analyze this the way we usually do, which is let's start off with just observations, questions, and problems. Okay, and I'm not going to discriminate here, and I'll number them just in case.
You don't do
the pivot. Okay, so I'll ask about the pivot now. I thought we do that afterwards. Yeah, let's ask about it afterwards. Yeah. Okay. So what are your observations, questions, or problems here? There's a lot to take in, even though it's relatively short. Yeah, Isaiah.
So we're sort of asking, or David saying, like Hashem should fulfill like everything you want in a certain way.
Yeah.
But maybe those things aren't so good.
Okay, good.
So
right.
Why is that such a good thing to want?
Yeah. Okay. I also this time reading it, this has been the biggest question in my mind, or not the biggest question. This has been the most prominent pasuk, for reasons that I'm not going to say yet. Okay, but I think that's a great question. So in pasuk, are we back to this problem? Funny, this has been working lately. Pasuk, which pasuk is that? It's 5, right? Pasuk 5. we have the question of how can we ask Hashem to grant us all the desires of our heart? Oh, is it? Sorry, is it? Oh yeah, sorry. Hold on a second. May He grant you in accordance with your heart. Is there another pasuk?
Yeah, and then
Oh, and 6. Yeah. Right. Thank you. Okay. 5 and 6. All the desires of our heart. And hold on a second. And requests. I'm sorry. And requests. Okay. What if some of these are not good? Now there are. Let's just leave it at that for now. Yeah, Ariel.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like he's not just talking about a day of sorrow because of the question you just asked, meaning like why, meaning like otherwise, then what's the point of this? What's the point of the question?
Okay, so let me actually ask this as a broader question. This is going to be kind of like our Mishlei question. So in Pasuk Beis, the question will be, what exactly is the scenario in which this should be said, right? It begins by specifying a Yom Tzara, but what is the scope of that, and how relevant are these requests outside? Sorry, how relevant is this perek outside of that chapter? Outside of that, yeah, Ariel.
Isaiah.
Okay, Isaiah.
I'm kind of curious about pasuk pasuk 3. I think it's interesting that he says like, "May your help be sent from the holy, may he support you from Zion." Like, I would think it would be good for him to support you or help you from any source.
That is a great question. Okay, so pasuk Gimel. Okay, what does it mean to ask that Hashem support us from the holy and from Zion? Okay, and then moreover, and this is Isaiah's question, shouldn't we ask him to help us from anywhere, right? For example, Esa Enai El Heharim Minayin Yabo Ezri Ezri Mishem Osei Shemayim Ba'aretz. That doesn't specify where it's coming from. We're looking to the hills and God is helping us however he helps us, right? So why specify here? Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah, and Pasuk, like a chariot and horses, like what's what's going on over there? I mean, what's the metaphor there?
Okay.
Not like a crazy one, but
yeah, I'm just trying to think whether to pasuk ches.
And also invoke the name of Hashem and our God and what?
Yeah. So let's just say, what is this saying? Okay. Who is this describing, and how are horses and chariots being compared with our invocation of the name of Hashem? Yeah, Ayala?
So in pasuk 7, 8, and 9, what is the switch to like past tense? Is it like a historical reality, or if not, then why?
Okay, so this might be a good place, since you're asking the question, to talk about the pivot, right? Was that what you're gonna say? You're gonna say something different?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Oh no, that's fine. No, it is a question on that pasuk. Okay, but I think it's like, if you strike oil, you have to like prepare for getting the oil. So Ayala struck oil with her question. Wait, which pasuk is that? It's 7. Okay, right. So this is also what we said. So again, our method of approaching Tehilim is to find a pivot point, the point where the perek abruptly changes in tone or in theme, or in this case in tense. All right, and you'll notice that the first half is entirely talking about the future, right? Either Hashem will do this or may Hashem do this. But then 7 suddenly switches to the past tense. Now I have known that Hashem saved his anointed one. He will answer from the heavens. Now, you could say that this is not the pivot. You could say somewhere else, and then just have Ayala's question isolated, which is why just in the first half of 7 is it talking about the past tense? But then it does switch to the past tense again in 9, right? Anachnu kamnu v'nis odad. That's in the past tense, and then 10 switches to the present tense, right? At least for Hashem saves. Okay, so let's just ask this as a question on 7, and then we'll go with Isaiah and then Ariel. 1 second. 7. Okay, why here does this switch to past tense? Okay, and then how do we account for this pivot? Okay, Isaiah.
Yeah. So a question about pasuk 9. So it seems like is it really true? Because that we rose up and have constantly kept ourselves upright, because like it seems like there was just a time where Hashem caused like an ace tzara, and like we, as we were talking about earlier, like that only happens because we deserve it to happen.
Right.
So like,
okay, right.
How did we
I guess the real question is really on just this phrase, we have constantly kept ourselves upright. I really want to figure out where we got that from last time. I have no idea what nis odad means, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that we had a good source last time for now, and then just ask the question, which is how can we say that we have constantly kept ourselves upright? Okay, not only does the majority of this perek talk about an ace tzara, right, a time of calamity, which indicates that we did not keep ourselves upright. Okay, but this pasuk itself says kamnu, right? Kamnu, switching to Hebrew, kamnu, right? We got up, which means that we had fallen in some sense. All right, so then the question is like, what does it say? Yeah, Yuti, and then Ariel. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No. So in 7, what's it bringing in Mashiach? What does that do with anything? And also, why is he answering him from a different place, or he's answering him from a different place than before?
That is a good question. Okay, that is a good question.
Why is right? Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually going to add that second part. Oh no, I'll put that in 7. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I don't think we noticed that question last time. Okay. Okay. So the question is, who is this Mashiach? Okay. And we learned last time that this was about David, but that's not the only answer. Okay. Right. I mean, this could be about the future Mashiach. One of my friends told me that he read somewhere, I just don't remember the source, that this is talking about Chizkiyahu. Okay, we talk about Chizkiyahu as the Mashiach Hashem. It's an open pasuk in Echa. Ruach HaPeinu Mashiach Hashem Nilcha B'Shchis Osam, I think. Okay, and then we have another question, which is, why do we speak of his help coming from the heavens? Didn't we say earlier that it came from the Kodesh and from Zion? Yeah, right. That's a great question. Yeah, Ariel.
All right, going back to the pivot.
Yeah.
So I think 6. You know, what's that term you use to connect the two pivots?
You love that. Yeah. So a subcategory of a subcategory of pivot theory is hinge theory. Okay, and a hinge. Yeah.
6 is the hinge.
Okay, so hinge, just finish explaining what it is. So the best example of a hinge, which I'm not going to bring it up right now because I don't want to slow down the computer anymore. But if you look at Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbos, there's a pasuk that says Ish ba'ar lo yeda uksil lo yavin esos, that a boorish man cannot know and a foolish man doesn't understand. And if you read that pasuk without the English punctuation, then you could read it as being in reference to everything that came before it about, a foolish man doesn't understand the Chacham of Hashem in the heavens, or you could read it as being followed by a colon and it talking about everything that follows it, which is the flourishing of the Rishaim and the suffering of the Tzaddikim. So that's what we call a hinge pasuk because it can be read both ways. Ariel is claiming that 6 is a hinge pasuk. Let's see if Ariel makes sense. May we sing joyously at your salvation. May we raise the banner of our God. May Hashem grant all your requests. Okay, yeah. So what makes you say it's
okay? So because from 1 through 5,
yeah,
it's talking about may he grant it's a lot of requests.
Yeah, right.
But 6 is almost like it's not a request from God, but it's a request from us. Like may we sing joyously at God's salvation onto us, and then it transitions into now that we know He's going to save us. Yeah,
I see. Okay. Whatever. Yeah, I hear that. That it is a link between the request for salvation and the celebration or the praise of God in salvation.
Yeah, it's not a request from God at that point anymore.
It's funny because it is an indirect request because it's saying, in other words, we can only rejoice at God's salvation if He saves us, and we can only raise His banner if we're the ones who won. Right. I hear what you're saying. That is definitely a possibility. I just want to add to the Ayala's question here, which is also how do we account for the tense change, a tense shift, when we say this in tefillah. Right. In other words, like David, at the very least, assuming that this is about David, this already happened, right? But David is writing this for us to say when we are in Eis Tzara. So when we say Ata yidati ki hoshiyat Hashem mishicho, and we're talking about something that happened in the past, how does that like relate to what we're going through right now? Okay. Any other questions or observations or problems? Yeah, Isaiah?
I'm wondering what God of Yaakov has to do with.
Okay, right. This is a question that many Mefarshim take up as what do you call as they're bothered by this. A lot of them write about this question, which is why specify God of Yaakov, right? Like why him as opposed to other avos, yeah, and yeah, and why? Oops, sorry, avos, and then avos, and then why that name as opposed to Israel, right? Israel, in fact, arguably would have been better because it's talking about all of us, and it's talking about him himself. Yeah.
I don't know if we asked, but at what time frame was David speaking?
Yeah, I'm gonna include that in the scenario, or are you asking something different? Yeah. By the way, just a side point here, not directly related to this, but it reminded me of this. So I had this question, which is when they started putting out names in the chat about the soldiers to be mispala for, I noticed that it was giving the soldiers and the name of their fathers, right? So and so Ben, and then the father's name. I was always under the impression that when we're davening for Rachamim, then we use the mother's name, So I asked this on the chat, the community chat, and then Rebbitzin Chait responded, no, we only use the mother's name for someone who's sick, So and then Mendy said that as well. So I asked around, and I asked around and found that many people do hold they use the mother's name. And Obadiah Yosef has this in a tshuva that you should use the mother's name. But I figured that, that we have a reason for doing this. And so I asked Rebbe today, and he said an interesting answer, which is that he said the mother is the one who cares for the child when the child is sick. So that is what we're trying to bring to mind, apparently, when we daven. But the reason I'm bringing it up now, I'm not answering the question, but just giving like a general approach here is, and then this is Tehilim and Tefillah 101, but like the name we use for God is supposed to put our mind in a certain framework, a certain mode of relating to him. So it is very significant, all these like little, Yaakov as opposed to other, Avos, and then the name.
It is interesting. If you look at Yaakov's life, out of all the Avos, he had the most stressful life.
That is the answer that the REDUX gives. Yeah. He says that that many times in Tehilim when we're talking about Yom Tzara, then we talk about Yaakov because he had the most sorrows. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. What else? I'm going to make an observation here, but maybe we could convert it into a question, which is that you notice that a theme that goes through the entire thing, in fact, I think it's beginning, middle, and end, is shame, is the Shem Hashem, right? So name of God of Yaakov, raise you up in protection. I believe there are 3 of them. Then at the end, we will invoke the name of Hashem our God, and then Vav. Did I not translate that in Vav? Oh, yeah. Wait. Yeah, I didn't translate that. Whoops. We will raise the banner. Wait. Vishem Elokeinu Nidgol. In the name of Hashem, in the name of our God, we will raise a banner, right? And may we, and in the name of our God, may we raise a banner. Yeah, it's a very awkward verb, nidgol from degel, right? Nidgol is may we banner, but there's no way to say that in English. Yeah, okay, right. So, yeah, so the question I have here is a general question, which is, what role does the name of God play here? Right, in the perek and for us. Yeah, I know I got this wrong because I literally just like finished listening to this a little while ago. But yeah, and again, look, no shame in reviewing old ideas. But I think what we should do, let's just see if we got all the main questions here. I think what I would like to do is, instead of trying to come up with the main idea now, I want to just go through a couple possibilities that the Mefarshim give about what scenario this was set in. And maybe we can take a new approach this time that we didn't do last time. So let's just do a quick survey here in the Mefarshim. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and use Al HaTorah for starters, and then we'll end for tonight. Yeah, and I think it's good for us to be thinking about this as we're saying it like in real life. Okay, so we're just gonna go from the top to the bottom really quickly. So Ibn Ezra says, Yan Hashem Yom Sarah, Yitachen Shezeh HaMizmor Chibru Echad Mihamashorim Al David. It's possible that one of the singers wrote this about David. He appears LeDavid Kamo Al David, and it does not mean for David. It means about David. Kamo Lishlamo Elokim Mishpatach LaMelech Tein Val Titma Al Lamed LeDavid V'Hine Derech. All right, fine. So that's what he says here. O La'atmo Yidaber, or he's talking about himself. V'yesh Omrim Shehu Al HaMashiach. Okay, and he says Yan Hashem Yom Tzara is b'milchama. All right, is in war. Okay, so these are all possibilities about either for David or about himself in war, or Mashiach, presumably in war. Okay, that's one possibility. REDUX, which is what we did last time, says Hamashur Haya Omer Oso Ba'avur David B'Tseso L'Milchama. The singer would say this on behalf of David when he went out to war. Okay, so that's a second check in the war column. Sforno says B'Zem Mizmor Hispalo David Al Sar Hatzava. Oh, interesting. Hanilcham al ha'umos biyom saras hamilchama. So this is the reverse. David would be mispal this on the chief officer when he would go to war with the nations at a time of the tzara of milchama. Rav Elia Denola says Zehu mizmor asal hamashor v'nasnu lamanatech al haduchan shiumarnu b'chol eis shu yelech lihilachem neged oivav. Okay, so this was designed to be said on the duchan. I don't know. I guess the duchan where Levim were by Levim at any time of tzara. When they go to wage war against their enemies. So that would explain why it's talking about Mikodesh and Mitzion, I guess because the people who are saying this are in the base of Mikdash and in Zion. Okay, then you have the Malbim, Ba'avur David Amru Zeh Mizmor. He said it about David. Let's Malbim more appears as Mikishur Divrei HaMizmor V'inyanav Moresh and Nosad Al Milchama Shahaylo LeDavid in Eze Am Rachok Miyushalayim. So he says from the context of the psukim here, it seems like this Mizmor was founded on a war that David had with some nation that was far away from Yerushalayim. And he was in danger there. And when the news reached Zion, he's palalu sham alav. Then they davened for him. V'gam shalchu chayil le'ezrasa. And they also sent soldiers to help him. Ulam be'es halchu hachayil noda lahem ki David nosha al pianes. Maybe as the soldiers were arriving, then they learned that David was saved by a nace. And then when the soldiers reached there, they I don't know how he's using natschu. I mean, I think, I'm not sure the translation, but he's saying that they were victorious only through the name of Hashem. So in other words, you see what he's doing. He's trying to do the tenses, right? That this is what was said by them. And it's kind of like a historical record memorialized as a tefillah, that as they were going, they were davening, not sure what the outcome was, and asking Hashem to help David. But then when they got there, they realized, now we know that God has saved David. And so they switched to praise. He says, maybe this is in the war with the Plishtim, Sheya'af David, V'yish. Okay, I don't know if this is a typo. V'yishve, probably Yoshve Benov Amar Lahakoso. I don't know these events. We need Yosef here. Okay, I'm actually not going to go through all these theories about when exactly this happened, because I don't think we know enough to be able to summarize this. I don't want to say anything irresponsible here. Okay, any other of our normal mafarshim here? Rashi says, Hamizmor hazeh al shem shahaya sholech es Yoav es Yisrael l'milchama, because that's sending his general in Israel to war. My omen b'Yerushalayim mispal alehem, and he was standing in Yerushalayim davening for them. K'inin shnemar tov ki tihi elanu mi'ir la'azor. Baruch Rabbeinu ilam ale David lo asa Yoav milchama. Okay, fine. So this is also talking about David davening on behalf of Yoav. Who else? Mitsudas David says, Mashor Amar Oso Ba'avur David B'Tzisa l'milchama. So pretty standard here. This is about David going to war. Okay, no surprises then. Okay, so I guess we now have to do the work between now and next week of thinking about this, and this will give me a little bit more time to come up with trying a new approach here, as opposed to the one that, the approach we came up with last time was pretty good, but I do want to try to see something from a new angle. Okay, up to you if you want to listen to the shiur from last time or not. I would not listen to it. I would try to like approach it fresh. I only listened to it because I didn't plan on teaching this tonight, but I changed my mind, wanted to do it. Okay, all right. So I hope that first half hour was well spent talking about the Hilchos Tanya. I think it's very, very important for us. And look, I'll end off with one thing. I said this in my discussion chat, but I'll say it here. I feel like there's an experience I have a lot with Mishlei, where like a certain idea that I've learned in Mishlei becomes very real to me in real life, and like I could see it in real life. I got to tell you, so many of the things that we talk about in davening and Tehilim seemed like abstractions to me, but now at this time that Israel's under attack, it's becoming real. And it's because I've been learning Tehilim with all of you for the last 3 years, and before that all these ideas are kicking in, and I'm finding myself very moved and more able to trust in Hashem because I've been practicing it for years, and I think that's another mistake people make with Tehilim. And I'm not gonna, I can't blame people for this. I could blame educators though, again, which is that people don't teach Tehilim, they don't learn Tehilim. They just expect it to magically work when they say it, but that's not how learning and tefillah work. Like, you have to put in the time and effort and energy to thinking about these ideas when you're not at an Eis Tzara, so that you will fall back on them at an Eis Tzara. You can't muster them up at an Eis Tzara with any real conviction. You can get yourself in a mood, but not real conviction, because you haven't had the opportunity to actually like discuss and learn the ideas and see life, train yourself to see your life through these ideas. And that's why Tehilim is so important. So ending off with a commercial for Tehilim. Learn Tehilim.
Send us a question in the chat.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah, I'll do that right now. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.